Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling a beast of a film, Christopher Nolan's incredibly complex masterpiece, Tenet. A lot of people feel like you literally need an instruction manual just to follow the plot. But honestly, as we untangle these core concepts together, the whole thing actually starts to click into place in a beautifully simple way. It's less about confusing you and more about giving you a totally new lens to view reality through. So, what exactly is Tenet? Before our brains completely melt from all the temporal mechanics and heavy physics, let's just take a step back. What is the actual story we're trying to follow here? Because underneath all the reverse car chases and mind-bending action, there really is a straightforward pulsing narrative driving the whole shebang. At its core, it all boils down to this wild, wild concept. It's a story about preventing a future apocalypse using people and objects whose time flows backward. That's the entire plot in a nutshell. We've got a hero trying to stop the end of the world, but to really wrap our heads around how that plays out, we have to master the fundamental rule of this universe. Everything else is built right on top of this one mechanic. Let's jump right into section 1, the basic concept, how inversion works.
Okay, so forget everything you know about standard time machines. Where you step into a magical glowing box and jump 30 years into the past in the blink of an eye. This is about inversion. We are talking about literally reversing the direction of time for a specific object or person. You take the normal, forward-moving arrow of time, and you simply flip it backwards for that one isolated thing. It doesn't instantly teleport. It just starts aging in reverse relative to the rest of us. Think of it like hitting rewind on a video. In normal time, you drop a glass, it falls to the floor, and it shatters. Simple, right? But in inverted time, those shattered shards leap off the floor and rebuild the glass right there in your hand. We see this early on when the protagonist undrops a bullet. Because the bullet itself is inverted, it's falling from its own perspective. But to our forward-moving eyes, it completely defies gravity and flies right up into his palm. It's totally counterintuitive to how our brains are wired.
And once that clicks, you start catching all these strange little details, like why are characters wearing oxygen masks outdoors during certain scenes? It brings up a really fascinating biological question. Why can't inverted people just breathe the normal air around them? Well, it comes down to this. All bodily processes are reversed. The air around them is perfectly fine. Actually, their own lungs are the problem. Since their lungs are functioning backwards relative to the normal forward-moving world, they physically cannot process regular oxygen. It just won't cross the membrane into their blood. So they absolutely need their own inverted air supply just to survive while moving backward through the world. Which naturally brings us to section 2, mechanics of the world. Let's talk turnstiles and time. Enter the turnstile. This is that massive, intimidating piece of machinery that makes all of this possible. When you step inside one of these giant vaults and come out the other side, your personal temporal direction flips. Your internal clock starts ticking backward, while the rest of the physical world around you just keeps rushing forward. You are essentially swimming upstream against the raging current of time itself. Now, crucially, this is not an instant jump. If you enter the turnstile at 1 p.m. to go back in time, your clock reverses. You hit 12 p.m., then 11 a.m., then 10 a.m. You have to physically live backwards, second by agonizing second, to reach your destination in the past. If you need to go back a week, you literally have to spend a full week inside a shipping container, breathing inverted air just waiting to arrive. Talk about incredibly isolating and exhausting. Okay, with the mechanics out of the way, let's look at section 3, the villain and the apocalypse, the stakes. So why is this happening? Well, because the future is dying. Humanity in the future is suffering from massive climate destruction and extreme resource scarcity. And honestly, they are furious at us. They totally blame past generations for ruining the planet, and their solution is pretty brutal. They want revenge by destroying history entirely. They figure if they can wipe us out, maybe their present reality will somehow heal. To actually pull off this insane plan, they need something called the algorithm. If fully assembled, this terrifying piece of future tech won't just invert a person, it will reverse the time flow of the entire Earth simultaneously. If this device is triggered, the fundamental laws of cause and effect will completely break down, instantly erasing our reality as we know it and ending humanity. It is the absolute ultimate doomsday device. So the future enlists a man in the past to assemble this algorithm for them, Andrei Sator. But here's the kicker about his motivation. It is shockingly petty. Sator has a terminal illness. Instead of, fading away peacefully or trying to leave a positive legacy, he selfishly decides that if he has to die, he's taking the entire world with him.
He basically views himself as a god, deciding that reality itself should end the exact moment his own heart stops beating.
As we peel back the layers here, we hit the biggest mind-bending twists of the whole story. Section 4, the protagonist and Neil, the twists. This blew my mind the first time I realized it. Our main character, who is simply known as the protagonist, doesn't just work for the secret organization TENET. He actually founds it in the future. Our hero is the ultimate mastermind, pulling the strings from years ahead and sending the entire mission, and his younger self, back into the past to ensure they win. He is quite literally hiring himself. And that reveals the absolutely beautiful, tragic reality of his partner Neil. Tracking Neil's journey is a total brain twister. He meets the protagonist in the future, they become great friends for years, and then Neil travels all the way back in time. He lives through the events of the movie to eventually die saving the protagonist. Neil's past is actually the protagonist's future. It's this incredibly deep, loyal friendship happening in two completely opposite directions. This overlapping of timelines brings us right into Section 5. History cannot be changed. The grandfather paradox. The whole film anchors on one strict, unyielding phrase. What's happened, happened. You cannot change the past. If you go back in time to open a door today, history will show that you were always the person who originally opened it yesterday. You were always the cause of the event. There are no alternate dimensions here, no diverging timelines. Everything forms one single, continuous, unbreakable loop. And this unbending rule completely dictates that epic final battle, which is basically a massive temporal pincer movement. You've got the red team moving forward in time and the blue team moving backward. Because history can't change, the blue team gathers intel in reverse, lives through the battle, and enhances that information over to the red team before the battle even starts. It's a perfect, closed loop of information. They already know exactly what's going to happen.
All right, let's bring it all home with Section 6, the golden rule for watching. Here's how to actually enjoy Tenet.
Look, if you try to process this like a standard action movie and ask, where is he going, your brain is going to tie itself in knots. You have to ask the right question. Is his time flowing forward or backward? Just pausing for a second to check which direction a character's clock is ticking, looking for those oxygen masks, or listening to the reverse sound design clears up almost all of the confusion instantly. Because ultimately, Tenet is not a traditional time travel movie. It's a massive, brilliant sci-fi thought experiment asking what actually happens to the world if time's direction is reversed. It's overwhelming by design. It throws you into a completely new reality where your basic instincts are totally backwards. But understanding this core concept is exactly what makes the movie finally click, transforming a confusing first watch into a seriously rewarding puzzle.
So I want to leave you with this final thought. Now that you've got the instruction manual, now that you understand the turnstiles, the fixed history, and those wild inverted timelines, what completely new details are you going to notice when you watch it again? I highly encourage you to embrace the complexity, watch how these puzzle pieces seamlessly lock together, and just experience the sheer brilliance of it all over again.